This compelling story of a father and two sons amply explains how you can use Notion to get a grip on your finances. Let me not hold you back. This story has three main characters. John is a father of two boys, David and Thomas. John runs a computer store in Virginia called Digit, while Thomas has graduated from NYU and is working in New York. David is following in his brother's footsteps and still studying at NYU. John has consistently reinforced money management lessons to his sons. Thomas was tech savvy and liked software to keep a tab on things. He looked at a few apps before narrowing down on Notion to track his expenses. He liked what he saw and decided to beef up his tracker to share with John and David, so that they too could put it to good use. Thomas went about documenting the scenarios. I need to track personal expenses, reimbursables, incomes, etc. I want to be able to track business expenses, capital expenditure that are one-time business costs, and ongoing business expenses. I want to be able to track student expenses, and I want to track projects and holiday expenses. Before Thomas decided, he weighed in on his decision regarding Excel versus an exclusive app. The more stars there are, the better is the functionality. Then he found Notion that provided him with the perfect middle path between Excel and apps, which also had the ability to share the information with somebody like an accountant or amongst the family. So what was Thomas's setup in Notion? Let's look at that in the next section. Thomas created a master expense tracker database with the following columns. The receipt column allows him to upload the receipts. The type column indicates whether it's an expense, an income, or a capital expenditure. If you want to do a quick data capture, you can just click on a quick link on your iPhone and go to the relevant Notion page and upload the receipt. Mention the description and the date it was incurred. Once you get back to your desk, you can fill in the rest of the details. The category column has a complete list of expense and income types, from groceries, rent, subscription to electronics, and it has income types from paycheck to return purchases. A recurring column captures whether the expense was recurring or non-recurring. The payment mode captures a personal credit card, a debit card, a wallet, cash, check, account transfer, and a corporate credit card. Thomas also has a description column called expense income. Since some payments like checks are cleared in a few days, he has a cleared column and a paid received column to indicate whether the transaction was complete and it has got credited to the account or not. He can confirm this by looking at his bank statement. He also has a column for reimbursable status, and he can confirm whether the reimbursement has come through or not. The date captures the date of the transaction, and the amount captures the value of the transaction. The currency indicator is for whether the currency is local currency or foreign currency transactions. This is helpful so that you don't have to link every row to the exchange rate table. You only need to link the foreign exchange transactions. The check number and the bank helps to track the bank and the check numbers for the banking transactions. And this includes debit cards. You can optionally choose to capture the credit card information as well. This is especially helpful when you have multiple credit cards. The project indicates the project name. Thomas is using it to indicate a holiday to Canada. And finally, there was a comment column for any free-form text he wants to capture. He's linked the database to another one which captures the expense versus the budget, and an exchange rate database that allows him to convert foreign currency transactions into local ones. Notice that in addition to the roll-up of the exchange rate, he's also had to convert this to a number, since Notion does not regard roll-ups as numbers. The workaround is to establish the field as a number, insert the formula, and then convert it back. The value column indicates whether it's an income or an expense. With the help of the date incurred, he can allocate this to the specific month in question. With the help of this configuration, it meets all the 4 needs that he has outlined for himself earlier. Now let's look at how he filled up the expenses for May and June. If you notice, all his expenses, including student loans, savings, his YouTube income, his paycheck, and essentials like groceries, internet, and phone bills, and other things like clothes are all included. If you notice closer, he's also captured a mobile accessory transaction that he purchased from Amazon UK costing about £30, and he's captured the exchange rate of that transaction. He's also got a reimbursement for a team dinner at a restaurant for about $240 that he needs to claim. For Thomas, if he goes on an official trip to Canada, he can mark a project off as Canada official trip. Mark all the local and foreign currency expenses. Mark off all the reimbursements to claim, and also be able to total it all up together. You can see that this suffices his needs. But what about its relevance for John and David? For John, the page allows you to share this with an accountant. Create capital expenses for the business. Include income categories like dividend, capital gains, annuities, and business income, along with any money that he should receive as pension, rental income, or commission. For David, he has student loans, college fees, supplies, and dorm expenses. They're all included in the category. Every year, you can have a separate database so that you can keep a record of this year by year. That way you can avoid a bloated database which becomes slower every subsequent year. The first dashboard we have is the savings tracker. As you can see, he's put in $1,000 on May 25th into Bank of America as his savings. Every time he puts the money in, it shows up in this list. It's filtered based on category, which is savings, and sorted with the most current date at the top. The income tracker keeps a track of the income he is receiving on a monthly basis. It's filtered by type and is sorted to the most current date at the top. You'll notice that you can also provide for attaching receipts in foreign currency for some things like YouTube payments, commissions, or royalties that you may be receiving. If you want to keep your advices or income slips, you can do so by attaching the same to the receipts column. In the budget versus actuals, expenses are aggregated by fixed, necessities, entertainment, subscription, transportation, etc. The budget column provides for monthly budgets arrived at by expense category. The on-budget column provides you with a snapshot of whether you met budgets in every month. In rent, for example, you'll find that the budget was $1,100, but the expense was $1,176.5, indicating a bust in June. If you go to the expense relationship database, you can see that it has been rolled up into the columns. Now that you have a month-wise budget, you can track the entire budget in one sheet. The paycheck tracker allows you to track all of your paychecks in one place. The project tracker is pretty interesting. You can use it to track a home project like home furnishing, where Thomas is spending about $100 every month to improve his apartment in New York. You can also use it to track holiday spend like a Canada trip that they're planning to take later in the year. You can also track spending on another personal or a professional project, like creating a home YouTube studio. The checkbook tracker allows you to track all your checks that you've issued. You can further filter this by bank to look at that specific bank's checkbook. Recurring payments allows you to track recurring expenses. Expense reimbursements allows you to track expenses where you need to be reimbursed. And foreign exchange transactions allows you to track all expenses in foreign exchange. These are merely indicative of the power of the database, and you can add your own views by pulling in linked databases. There's only one formula that we've used in the entire dashboard, and that is for on budget. Let's have a look at that. Now let's go back to the master database and look at some formula that I have used to set it up. The exchange rate is taken as a roll-up from the exchange database and calculates the exchange rate for foreign currency rounded off to 3 decimals. Even though the exchange rate is not a number because it's rolled up, you can convert this into a number by using the unary plus formula. The value is a sign alteration of expenses and takes the help of the exchange rate in case it's a foreign currency transaction. The month formula column pulls in the month from the date incurred. Months January to December are formulae, and that pull in the value if the month is the same month as the column. So as you can see, barring a few complex formulae, the rest is pretty straightforward, isn't it? Did you enjoy today's video? Do leave a comment below. If you're not yet part of this community, do consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay notified of new videos. If you liked the video, consider sharing it with your friends. Stay safe, stay healthy, peace.